So hey everybody. Hey there, welcome to Life on Turkey Lane. Or should I say welcome to my late night canning session. Andy's out of town tonight. He had a job he had to go do, and I think he's going to be gone pretty much all night. So I thought, what a better time, since I'm not ready to go to bed, than to can up some chili beans. The other day at an Amish market that we were at, I got a big, let's see, I think this is 5 pounds. Yeah, 5 pounds of small red kidney beans that I'm going to can up. I'm going to make some chili beans to put in the pantry because we love chili. It's winter time, it's that time of year, and so what better time to have those? So I figured you might want to come along. I'll show you what we're going to do. Okay, so first things first, we're going to get the canner filled up with the required amount of water, which doesn't take but just a minute. My canner is I think it's a 16 quart Presto pressure canner, and it will hold 7 quarts and 10 pints. Tonight we're gonna do quart jars in here for the chili beans. We like to do quart jars because whenever I make a pot of chili, I use a full quart jar can, and it's easier than opening up 2 smaller cans. So that's what we're doing. Let's get some water in here. Okay, now this canner says to put 3 quarts, and I'm going to make sure it's a good 3 quarts because quart-size cans or quart-size jars, when you're canning them, take 90 minutes, and you don't want your pressure canner to boil dry. That is for sure. You'll ruin your canner and all your batch of stuff, and it will just be a big problem. So you want to make sure you got plenty of water in there. I'm going to put just a little tad more. I think one of my jars was short. Okay, and then I'm going to turn the burner on a lower temperature just so the water can start warming up. And then now over here, you can't really see it, but I've got another pot. And for our chili, we're going to have to add some boiling water or hot water to our jars too, so to fill them up. So I'm going to get some water on for that. Okay. I'm going to turn that on to about a medium high. So we can get that hot. We want to get that in the jars here pretty soon. I'm not going to set the lid on top of the pressure canner just yet. And so let's go over here and we'll start filling our jars. Okay, so we've got our beans, and our beans are going to need to be washed, rinsed off real good, check to make sure there's no rocks or bad beans in there. So that's what we're going to do right now. Let me get my calendar out. I always think I have everything out, and then I don't. So I'm going to measure out. My jars are going to take, you put 4 quart-sized jars. Let me bend down here so I don't have to move the camera up and down. I wish I had a cameraman. That would be so nice. Anyway, for quart-sized jars, since we're going to do the dry pack method, or no soak method, a lot of people call it, and that's not really a ball approved or American Canning Association approved recipe. However, I've done this many times. I know there's lots of canners. You can find all kinds of YouTube videos of people who do this. And the only difference, the only way this works is if you reduce the amount of beans you put in the jar. Because in the no soak method, I only put 1 cup, a scant cup of dry beans in the jar and fill the rest up with liquid. And that way the beans can expand and they will soak up a lot of that liquid in the jar. So, like I said, that is not an approved method, but it works. It's worked for me. I know it's worked for hundreds of other canners, and so that's what we're going to do tonight. Super easy, one of the easiest things that you can do, and they always turn out good. And so, but that's what we're doing. So let's get these beans a-soaking, or not soaking, but let's get them washed up. And now we bought these beans from one of the Amish stores in Missouri that we traveled to. I think it was last weekend or the weekend before. And they have 25-pound bags of beans, but I don't have a place to store 25-pound bags of beans. So, however, I thought this 5-pound bag would be just great. I think I could probably get 2 to 3 canning sessions out of this. Okay, and see, while I'm putting these in here, I'm going to go ahead and look through any kind of like beans that are like half beans or kind of maybe misshapen or weird colors or anything like that. I'm just going to go ahead and look through them and pull out anything that I think would be not good for the canning process or for anybody to eat. Especially because sometimes if you've ever looked through beans, every now and then they can have a little pebble in them. And that would not be good to bite down on. Okay, so that was 2 cups. I try not to lose count. Okay. Just a little pinch more just in case. Okay. There we go. And truly, there really wasn't, I didn't find a whole lot of bad beans, but I will show you. I found a couple broken ones and half ones and or discolored ones. And so we don't want to use those because now it would be fine. I didn't find any pebbles, which is good. It would be fine to use even these broken beans, like if you're making beans on the stove and you're going to just cook them like that. But when you're canning, you kind of want to, sorry if I'm not looking at the camera. When you're canning, though, you don't want to use any broken bits and pieces or damaged ones because it could be a hazard. So we're going to take those out and throw them away. Okay, now we're going to get the jars out. I've got the jars in the dishwasher here, and they've already been sterilized and they're warm. So I'm going to pull out a jar and we're going to show you what we do. I'm going to warm jar. Now my sauce is cold. I've got just regular canned tomato sauce here. If you watched my my canning pork and beans recipe, you'll see that I bought a big gallon jar, 1 big gallon jar of tomato sauce, and split it up between the 2 of these canning sessions. So I've got just regular plain old cheapest tomato sauce, and so that we're going to use that. And then of course we got my beans here. And before we get started, I'm going to rinse these beans good. Spray them off with my sprayer. And sometimes you'll notice when you start rinsing your beans that you might find more where where the skins start peeling off. Those aren't necessarily bad. I just usually pull the skins out. drain for just a little bit. Okay, now we're going to get started. So, okay, I've got my funnel on my jar, and I'm going to put a cup of beans in there. Now, the trick, like I said, if you're canning the dry, no soak method, you want a scant cup of beans. So I just level off the top. Okay, and that's just the bean that the skin peeled off of, but I'm going to go ahead and throw that out. So we put that in our jar, and then let me get my other measuring cup. Here we go, it's right here. And then I put about a cup of sauce in there. Okay, put that on the counter right there. And then we're going to start putting our spices in. So I'm going to need, let me see, I'm going to need my teaspoon measurement here. And you're going to need onion powder, garlic powder, and I think I have, yeah, I have a new one of this, I hope. And chili powder, ground paprika, and some ground cumin, and a little bit of salt. Now, you don't want to use white table salt. You need to use a sea salt, a kosher salt, a canning salt, or like a pink Himalayan salt like this is. Iodized salt doesn't work good for your canning. So, now let's see. I need, take the lid off of that. I need a teaspoon of onion powder, and a teaspoon of garlic powder. Now this is going to be each can. I'm just showing you one right now, but then we're going to do like a tablespoon. Okay, a teaspoon of garlic powder. Did I already put that in there? Yeah, I already put that in there. Okay, a tablespoon of chili powder. A half teaspoon of cumin. And let's see, a teaspoon of paprika. It doesn't matter that I'm using the same teaspoon for some of these spices. They're dried, so. Okay, and a half teaspoon of salt. Okay, now we're going to fill the jar the rest of the way up with some warm water, and this water is hot already. So let's get it over here. Let me see where my pot holders are. Kind of running out of room. Let's just move those beans over just a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and fill up the jar with some hot water. And you're going to want a full inch of headspace. So you just fill up to this bottom rim right here. Just right up there. Let me put just a tiny bit more. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to debubble. So I'm going to take my debubbling tool. And you can use just about anything, a chopstick or just whatever you like. And I'm just going to stir that around and debubble. And then now you always need to can with brand new lids. I've got a stack of brand new lids here. And real quick, I'm going to go get me a little bit of vinegar, and so we can wipe the rims of these. Okay, so now let me get another jar out. And we're going to do this process 7 times. So I'm going to dip my paper towel, just a clean paper towel, in a little bit of vinegar water. This isn't going to flavor your chili beans in any way. You just want to wipe that rim off. Make sure you don't have any grease or oil or anything on it. And then you put a lid on there and a ring. And you just want it to be fingertip tight. Once you start meeting resistance, don't go any further. And then we'll put this in the canner. Okay, and we'll do the same thing with this. A scant cup of beans. 1 cup of tomato sauce. Okay, let's get our seasonings. I need a teaspoon of onion powder, a teaspoon of garlic powder. Gonna have to get my other garlic powder out, I think. A teaspoon of paprika, a tablespoon of chili powder, a half teaspoon of cumin, and, well, that was, okay, I better do that twice because that was the 1/4 teaspoon. Okay, and a half teaspoon of salt. And then fill it the rest of the way up with water. That some of these new lids that I'm using, I couldn't find any ball lids, but I had bought some lids from the Dollar Tree. Yes, I know. I wasn't happy or thrilled about that, but I bought some lids from the Dollar Tree. And when I canned my pork and beans, I had one of the jars siphon on me, and I had another one of the jars not seal. I had a couple ball lids, and those did fine, but a couple of the, don't forget to debubble, a couple of the lids that were from Dollar Tree did not work too well. So that's just my warning. Of course, we figure, you know, if it comes from Dollar Tree, it's probably not the most best quality in the world. I'm going to go ahead and wipe that rim again, just because. So just know that you might get some failures if you use some Dollar Tree rings. Right now, that's what I have, so that's what we're going with. Okay, finger tight, and put it in the canner. Okay, I'm going to do the rest of these, and I will be back to show you a full canner. Let's come along over here, and we're going to see a full canner's worth. Okay, putting the last one in. My water's heated. I'm going to take my leftover vinegar. The Presto book encourages you to put a couple teaspoons or tablespoons of vinegar in your water, so that helps your jars to stay get where there's no cloudiness when you pull them out. And then we're gonna I've checked my pitcock on here to make sure it was clear and I could see through it towards the light. You always want to do that. This canner has a little arrow. You can't see it here. Has a little arrow on this handle. And then it also has an arrow on the lid right here. And if you line those arrows up, your lid should be able to go on there. I never have trouble with this thing until now. Either way, you want to make sure you get your lid on there. There we go. If you line the arrows up, like I was just saying, the lid will go on. And then you just turn it to where it locks in place. I'm going to turn my burner up to high to get this thing boiling. And as soon as we have steam coming out of the pitcock here, and we're going to steam it, we're going to let it run out of there. I'm going to set the timer for 10 minutes. And the steam will flow out for 10 minutes. And then after that, I'll come back and we're going to put the little weight on and we'll show you what else. Okay, success. We have a steady stream of steam coming up out of the pitcock. So I'm going to put my timer on for 10 minutes and we're going to let this vent for 10 minutes. And then as soon as that timer goes off, I'm going to come back and show you what we're going to do next. Can't wait. Okay, the timer's going to be going off here in just a little bit. Yay! What this canning is not real hard. I mean, the most you have to really do is fill the jars up, and then, you know, just, it's more tedious to get the stuff out, to get started, than it is to can. Really, that's the truth. Gathering up all the stuff is the hardest part. So my timer's about to go off, and we're gonna then put the weight on. Now my canner doesn't have a dial, a gauge. It has a 3-tier weight here. The bottom tier is 5 pounds, the middle tier would be 10 pounds, and then the top tier is 15 pounds. And there's our timer. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this over the pitcock there. Just spin it around just a little bit. Now when this thing builds up the pressure, this thing will start doing a hula dance, and that's when we're going to start our timer. Quart jars of beans and meat and things like that will have to process for 90 minutes. Okay, so as soon as this thing starts doing its hula dance, we're going to start our timer for 90 minutes, and these things will be pressure canning, and then we'll be done here when 90 minutes is up. So, but anyway, for my altitude here in Missouri, we're just a little bit over 1,000 feet where I live. And so that means that I'm going to have to pressure can mine at 15 pounds of pressure. With that, but anyway, we're on our way, and I am so excited about these chili beans, and I will be back when they're done. Okay guys, well this canning session is almost over. My timer's going to be going off here in just a little bit. This little hula dance has been going on for almost 90 minutes, and as soon as this timer goes off, what we're going to do is I've got my hot pads here, and I'm going to turn my burner off, and I'm going to move the pressure canner over to this cooler burner over here and let all the pressure come out. Or not come out, but go down. It's going to sit on this other burner for probably about 30 minutes. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back in here, and I'm going to make sure if you can see, I think you can see it in the camera. Back here is a pressure button. When that's up, yep, there's my timer. Okay, so when that pressure button is up, that means there's pressure in the pot. So I'm going to take the pot and I'm just going to move it, and I lift up on it gently because this is very heavy. But since I have a glass top stove, I don't want to drag it. So anyway, I'm going to let it sit on this burner. The cool burner, for about 30 minutes. I'm going to let at least until that the pressure valve back there, the button, drops down. That means that there's no more pressure in the thing, and then I can take my little weight off. You can see the weight stopped already. Okay, well here we go. It's the moment of truth. My pressure button has dropped. I'm going to go ahead and take the little pitcock off of here, and I'm just going to open the lid, but I'm not going to remove it just yet. I'm going to open the lid. Now you always want to open away from you because okay. And I'm just going to let that sit there for about 10 minutes, and then I'm going to come back and we're going to find out how these Dollar Tree lids did and see how everything went. So I'll be back in just a second, your time. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to take this lid off of here. Once again, I'm going to go ahead and do it away from me just in case there's any steam left in there. I'm not sure. I can't tell really by looking at the water in this light. It looks like I might have had some siphoning. This couple of the jars look a little low, and of course they're Dollar Tree lids. So, but we're going to get some out and see how it goes. Here's one of them. Now, just because they did a little bit of siphoning doesn't mean that everything's bad as long as they seal. Now, these two, the last two that I'm taking out, those are actual ball lids. And I can tell by looking at them that none of the liquid siphoned out of them. But I can tell by looking at least 2, maybe even 3, or all of the Dollar Tree lids that they siphoned. And you can tell by looking at my pot. If you can see in the pot, you can see right there, there's some of the liquid. And down here you can see the liquid, that it's got chili juice in it. So I don't think any of these are ruined as long as they seal. If I have ones that don't seal, they're going to go in the refrigerator, and like I said, we're probably going to have a pot of chili tomorrow. It's kind of disappointing because I'd really like to be putting most of this stuff on my shelf in the pantry. But either way, I thank you for coming along. It's almost 1 o'clock in the morning, guys. This was a late night canning session, but I hope you enjoyed it. I'm so glad you joined me tonight at Life on Turkey Lane, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your night. And try the recipe, though. I'll leave it in the description box, and also come back and see me for the pork and beans, canning pork and beans. They're delicious too. So take care and have a really good night. Bye, y'all.